Okay, so we will open the meeting at 9:11 a.m. and thank you for your attendance. Confirmation of the ordinary minutes meetings on the 8th of March 2023. Do we have a mover? Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 8th of March 2023 be confirmed.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Okay,
Yes.
now, okay, thank you. 9-0. We also have the special meeting of the 21st of March 2023. Do we have a mover for the minutes of that meeting? Councillor Ladbroke.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 21st of March 2023 be confirmed.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll get on with the agenda.
That was page 28.
Eight point one, advertising resident and SME fairs and local agent. I'd like to move that Council 1 endorse a billboard style advertising across a number of high traffic sites promoting the Maranoa Regional Council resident fairs and small to medium SME enterprise business fairs and corresponding ticket sales through the local distributor Maranoa Travel.
Just local single.
Local single distributor Maranoa Travel, and 2, that the creation of content signage and hire of trailer if required be sourced from advertising GL 2511.2149 Airport Administration Advertising General up to a maximum of $10,000. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ladbroke. Is there anyone wish to speak to the motion? I think it's very important to support our local agent. I think also getting the word out that council have fairs, that are Maranoa Regional Council fairs. So I think it's very important to do both things, get the word out and support having a local travel agent, which is very, very important. Councillor Hancock.
I just have a question.
Please go ahead.
Just wondering have we actually spoken to Rex about this advertising billboard and had any discussions on whether they'd be interested in sharing the cost of it? Because I noticed that when we went into an agreement, it was something about, shared agreement of advertising it through the area, and so I'm just wondering whether there's opportunity.
Well, certainly be happy to. The main focus of this motion is to really have large, what I'm envisaging is really large signage for Maranoa Travel and a phone number, as well as the price of the fares, and really not so much about Rex. It might have a little logo on it, but it's mainly about the council flights. So that's what I envisage. And obviously, I haven't got it in here, but I'm happy to have in here that we liaise. Obviously, we'll have to liaise with Maranoa Travel and make sure that they approve whatever we're going to do, as well as, if we put Rex logo on there, we will have to ask. But if you're thinking that they might pay half and we can do more, then it could be something that we could put in the motion to add to it, as if, it might be more budget that we can do more around the region. Councillor Taylor.
Oh, well, just following up from Councillor Hancock, you haven't spoken to Maranoa Travel either.
No, it's more where the council want to do it first, and then, but I'm happy to have in consultation with that about, obviously there has to be signage approved and what goes on it and all the rest of it. Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'm of the belief that it's in the contract with the Rex that they had to partner with council on advertising.
That's right, sort of.
Yeah, well, there could be, but this is something that council would be doing. I think if Rex partners, they will be partnering with what it also looks like. This one, I believe, should be more focused on the local travel agent and promoting the council fairs. Councillor Ladbroke?
Well, we've got the local travel agent here, so
Yeah.
what do
No,
you think?
can't ask.
Well, the other thing,
You can't ask the gallery.
we could adjourn.
Yes,
I
we could.
can't talk, I'm here as a
We-
member of the public.
Yeah.
It's a general committee meeting.
You could adjourn, sure, if you wanted to.
We might adjourn for a minute and we'll be back in a minute. So, okay, keeping going with the meeting. So we had a couple of questions. Councillor Guthrie?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to have this one lay on the table, just to enable discussions to be had with relevant stakeholders and to be deferred to a future council meeting.
Okay. All those in favour?
Sorry, which one's being laid on the table? Sorry.
8.1, the advertising.
Oh, advertising, okay. Sorry, okay.
Okay, are you in
Yep, I'm in
favour of that?
favour, in
Okay,
favour.
that's 9-0. Okay, 8.2, Saving Romavilla Winery. I'd like to move the council one.
I've got a question if I can.
Please go ahead.
I'm just interested in terms of process, and this might be one to the CEO. We've got two reports here, one from the mayor and one from the deputy mayor. Can I ask which one was submitted first, so I understand the order in which the agenda was put together?
Through the chair, I don't actually put the agenda together myself, so I can't give you that information. But we put the order of business in relation to who's actually moving the motions is actually title related. So as you would know, that in many councils, they have the mayoral minute process, which allows the mayor to actually put his motions first. You don't have that in your meeting practice, which is unusual. But in the event that any motions are put forward and by councillors, the mayor would always take precedence
Okay,
because of that
So
that role.
for someone that's been here for nearly 12 years, that's the first I've ever heard of that. So the only reason I asked is because there was correspondence from councillors in relation to this, highlighting timings, and I just wanted to know how that happens.
Well, through the chair, I don't have any of that correspondence.
Mr Mayor, I can add, I basically sent that correspondence out mainly for the repealing of the other, the meeting we were going to have next week that's coming up.
Special meeting.
Because you both brought it to my attention that you both would be away for the special meeting. So I wrote the whole thing out in order of how things progressed as I received them, yeah. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
righto. So I'll start again. That council, 1, acknowledge OM/12.2022.45 and OM/12.2022/46. 2, conduct a community consultation based on all forms of access for residents on giving their opinions to save the winery for the community. 3, based on a model but not limited to A, saving the winery as a boutique working winery and meeting space that benefits the community and visitors. B, that any major redevelopment or improvement to the site would not be done by council, meaning funded by council, but by non-for-profit foundation or similar through grants. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Burkett. Now, I'll speak to the motion. I believe we need to find out from the community, and that means all of the community, whether they're interested in saving the oldest winery in Queensland. It's not the oldest winery in Queensland if it's not operating in some form as a boutique winery. It's just the oldest building. So I believe that's really crucial, but it's not limited to that. As always, I enjoy all feedback that we will get about this. I believe that there is many, many, many millions of dollars of value, probably tens of millions, on having something that is the oldest in Queensland. I believe that if we do not save it now, the opportunity will be gone. There is a lot of people in the community that are asking and why we would not be saving it. So I believe that it's, if we pay the winery off, that we're in a very good financial position. We've paid down significant amount of debt, and that we can certainly afford to save the winery and borrow the money for it. The biggest issue is that the community really does appreciate when we actually save something, and then I would like to see that, a non-for-profit of some type of foundation would be, and I think the consultation will flush that out as well. But really just hearing from the average everyday person that never goes to any meetings in any way, that we want to hear their views on it, as well as, the have you says and all of the different ways that we can do it. So consultation in any way, whatever they would like to say, would like to hear that, as long as it's obviously not rude or offensive. That's what this is about. It's very simple, and then we can get that information back to council, and then council consider it further. Okay, Councillor Guthrie.
Mr Mayor, would you be open to an amendment or a rephrasing?
Yeah,
of
please.
one of so in 3B, that any major redevelopment or improvements to the site would not be done by council, but could be undertaken by a not-for-profit foundation. So it's not a setting up that this is the procedure, but a suggestion could be that a not-for-profit foundation or similar through grants.
Okay, I'm happy with that amendment.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
That is the motion. Please go ahead.
In your resolution, you reference, point one, acknowledge the resolution, the first one. That resolution states that this lay on the table until council has a briefing. That hasn't occurred. So that this resolution contradicts an already resolved matter of council.
I think we've had briefings on it.
Not since the report came to council in December. We haven't, unless I've missed a briefing. Councillors, I don't.
We've had no briefing on
Not
the
since
winery.
December.
I don't think that this motion contravenes those motions because it's asking for a briefing. You're not asking for a decision on the winery per se. What you're actually posing for here is a community consultation to go and gather more information.
Sorry, Madam CEO, the full resolution says that this lay on the table until council has a briefing on this and then be dealt with at a future meeting. The sequence is out, we haven't had a briefing.
Can I just ask a question? But if we're only acknowledging it, we're not moving forward on any of those, that's still in the process. We could still have a briefing, can't we? I can't see a contradiction.
We haven't had a briefing.
Yeah, but it's
and-
just
and it's going out
acknowledging
of
those
public
two
consultation.
resolutions.
Mr Mayor, could it be after the councillor briefing is held, conduct a community consultation that's a sequential?
I'm
process
happy
is-
with that. Is the mover happy, the seconder happy with that?
Yeah, whatever, yeah, it gets going.
Righto. Okay, that's the motion. Councillor Hancock?
So, Mr Mayor, with this resolution that you've put forward, we're actually not committing any money to the project. We're not saying we're going to be purchasing it just yet. All we're doing is saying that we're going to go out to community consultation on this
Correct.
on this project. And what time frame are you thinking?
Well, as quick as possible, I would like to see. We've got to have the briefing, obviously, so hopefully that's next briefing, and then we'll go to community consultation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Neill?
Just got a question as well. In that community consultation, will it be asking the community whether they want, Maranoa Regional Council to purchase it?
Well, that is what is, that council would be saving the winery is purchasing it. Yeah.
That's just not clear though. Like, are you going to specify that so we know that this resolution is in fact going out to the community, asking them whether they...
Yeah, would they be in favour of purchasing the winery to save it? I'm happy to put that in the motion if the seconder would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Righto, so that's the motion. Okay, so does someone wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, I won't be voting for this motion because I don't believe we have the money, but, and when you mentioned a foundation, does that mean that we pay, as we did for the neighbourhood centre, and have to set up a not-for-profit for $20,000? Since the community has found out that this historical asset is the winery, I have not had one community member saying buy the winery, and trust me, I have asked. This will end up costing council in one form or another, and we are not the organisation to do this. In your first motion here, you mentioned the butter factory. I see that you've taken that out now because we didn't actually buy the butter factory. So this is a totally separate thing to the butter factory. And I can't support spending money. And as you say, we could get a loan, but why don't we get a loan to do our swimming pool? Like that's not going to happen in this term either. So I think the money, and I don't know how much money because it keeps changing all the time, but I just feel that we're not in a position to buy it, and if it could be dealt with by private enterprise, it would have been done by now. There is just no way that I'll be supporting this.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion?
Mr Mayor, I did sit on the fence with this a lot, but what we're voting for today is really only going out to consultation, which I think was very needed. So I do support this. The timing is, for me, and a few of us have spoken about this, the timing is probably a bit off in a way, but you don't know what's going to be around the corner. But I've said this openly in this room that Roma was noted for three things. It's Roma Saleyards, the big oil and gas, and the Roma winery. They're the three significant things, and I've been disappointed that the winery, for those out of the big three, has been sort of forgotten about. When we first got into council, the big rig was a big thing we had to make a decision on nearly in the first month with no information given. So I think at least we've got a bit of a handle on this and we can go to the community and find out what they want. I don't have a lot of feedback, but I've had some really positive feedback from some reputable people in Roma that would more in support of the winery than the big rig, and that's their personal opinion. So I'm happy to go to consultation and see where it leads us next and have the briefing, so fully supportive of this.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
I've got another question, if I can.
Please go ahead.
Just in relation to going out to the community and asking them, their opinion as to whether Maranoa Regional Council should purchase it. I know the question that's going to be asked is, well, what's the cost? So how do we go out to the community with a figure so they understand what they're putting their opinion to in terms of the financial investment that they would have to make?
There is we've got a amount that we would pay it off. That's fairly simple to understand, and then to be a purchase price. So.
No, but how do you go out to ask the community, are you in favour of purchasing said asset without putting a cost to it so they're informed as to whether they think it's a good investment or a bad investment? Because if you just go out there and ask, do you think we should buy it? Well, it's an emotional decision, but they don't know the cost.
I don't think we did that with the big rig when we borrowed nearly $3 million to do that. I don't think we did that. So I think in general, I think that is that's fine. And so I don't think we do that in every time.
I don't think we went out and asked to whether council should invest in the big rig. We went out on public consultation of what it looked like.
Yeah, but we didn't say that it was, so we were doing the same thing. Councillor Burkett.
I don't know how to word this into a question because I can't speak, but I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. I went to community meetings before I got into council. That was a public thing, part of the local plan, and it wasn't mentioned once, and I thought that'd be a place to bring it up, as if you were going to do it, it'd be in a community process like that. So I'd like to think in this process we do that, that every community gets a look at this. So,
As in the dollar figure?
no, about anything at all, to be honest. With the
Well,
big
they
rig.
should know the
but it-
dollar figure.
No, but I'm
it
just saying,
hasn't happened in the
the
past.
difference in the big rig, no one knew it. Mitchell.
Okay, so let's get back to the debate. Councillor Hancock wanted to speak, or did you have a question, Councillor Guthrie?
I have a question. I'm just going to propose another amendment for your consideration.
Please go
Just
ahead.
following on from Councillor O'Neill's comment. So number 3, based on a model but not limited to, are you seeking to set up or establish a steering committee whose focus is to save the winery, or an action group who are prepared to form to then proceed? Because I'm thinking, and I'm asking for the amendment because my commentary would be, I don't believe we'd have one community consultation, just to follow on from Councillor O'Neill, and say it's going to cost this amount of money. We don't actually know what the community are going to say until we actually have the community consultation, and then that will guide the costings, the process, the time frame, the success. So my question to you, Mr. Mayor, is would you consider an amendment that says, based on a model not limited to, establish a steering committee or an action group?
Well, I think the people that are going to be wanting to be involved, and I've had them from the community, will be actually coming forward as part of the community consultation, so it will happen anyway. Okay, Councillor Hancock.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm actually not fully against this resolution. For me, it's about timing. It's just timing. I do support community consultation. I too have had conversations about the winery, but for me, it's just about timing. I, at the moment, don't think we can afford it. And my concern is that when you go out to community consultation, you build expectation in the community. And so therefore, when I marry building expectation in the community against whether we can actually, in my opinion, afford it at the moment, that is my concern, and that's why I can't support this at the moment. In future years, I would maybe consider being able to support this. But at the moment, I just don't think we should build the community expectation on a project that I just don't think we can afford, because we have so many other projects that we've already committed to. And so I just don't think that we have the funds to fund this. And I think we need to focus on the projects that are already committed to in our asset management plan and deal with those projects and see for them to come to life, and then have a look where there's opportunities to have some new projects in our community, which then I would be happy to maybe look at something like this. But at the moment, I think we need to clean up what we've already said we're going to do. Our pool is a major project for our community and our whole region that I think we need to find the money for. And there is other projects out in the smaller regional centres that we yet still have not accomplished in this term of council, and yet we're looking to put another new project on our asset management plan when we do not have the money to even fund the projects that we already have on there. And that is why I just cannot support this, because I don't believe we should be building the community expectation and excitement on something that actually we can't afford.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion?
Just got one other question.
Please go ahead.
Just so I can get my head around it, is your intent to push for this consultation now to look at adding this acquisition into this year's budget?
Well, it really depends on the community feedback, but I do believe that assets do not stay around forever, and I am conscious of the time that we've been talking about this. We've been talking about it for probably a year, and I think we need to get on with it.
So I'm not clear. Is your intention
No,
to add it to this year's budget?
It depends on the community consultation.
So then I'd like to propose an amendment.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to propose that we add in that we also submit the acquisition of the Romavilla Winery for consideration in the 2024-25 budget.
That amendment is not supported. Do you have a second for the amendment? Councillor McMullen. Does anyone wish to speak for the motion?
I'll speak to it. I get that there's passion about this historic asset. I am so pleased that we are actually now able to talk about what this historic asset is out in the community. I think that was a vital step so that we can have the right conversations with our community to understand their sentiments. I support community consultation. I think that is paramount to understand the feelings of people that themselves are passionate about maintaining what is the oldest winery in Queensland. I do think we need to go out in that consultation. I think we've got to include an indicative figure so that people are informed as to what opinions they're providing. But I don't think we can do it in this financial year. I think we should undertake proper community consultation through the platforms that we've historically used. And I think by deferring it, like we are with so many other projects that are coming before us, and we'll be talking about many of those later today, and indicating that we will consider this as part of a future budget in 24-25. I think that is a sound way forward and would complement the notice of motion put forward by the Mayor. Equally, would complement the notice of motion put forward by the Deputy Mayor, undertaking consultation but recognising that we can't make the financial contribution if the community want us to this year, but foreshadowing it for next year.
Okay.
For 24-25.
Okay, I'll speak to the motion. I don't agree with the motion. We're not making any decisions today. I think shutting this off would be a way to kill off the winery. I know probably the people that are going to vote for this don't want to buy the winery at any time. I've never probably heard them say they want to buy the winery. So I think it is a way to try and kill this project off, because that may not be there in the future. I do believe that if you look at, if you're actually looking on a financial basis, there is no evidence to say we can't afford it. Our debt has been reduced significantly in this term of council and from the last term of council. So I think it is completely inaccurate, and it's just people's personal view that are saying they can't afford it. But I'm not even saying that we should do it in this budget. What I'm saying is go and listen to your people that you represent, and then come back and make a decision. But the amount of money to borrow this project would probably be less than the variation in our power bill a year. Less than the variation in our power bill a year. So it's farcical to say that we can't afford it. I think it's just the different views around the room, and this motion is about to derail looking at it by pushing it so far in the distance. Okay, does someone wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Hancock?
I just want to ask Councillor Neal, did he mean consider the project purchase?
Yes, I did.
Or include?
No, consider the project purchase.
Yeah, as a point four.
Councillor Hancock, did you want to speak to the motion?
No, I just wanted to make sure that...
Righto. Does anyone else wish to speak?
I would, Mr Mayor. I'm very disappointed in your comments. I've said it more than once in here that I'm not against the project. It's the wrong timing. I've told the people in the public. So, you need to clean your ears out, I think.
So are you in favour of buying it in the 24-25 year, are you?
Well, Mr Mayor, what was my resolution?
In favour of buying it?
Didn't you read my resolution?
Or consider or buy?
I said submit the acquisition, and I've got other things in there, and I would like to, oh no, it's in there, sorry, yeah.
But that's not buying it. That's just putting it up for one of the projects in that budget. It may not be supported.
But you're not saying...
We may not be here, Mr Mayor, to actually vote on it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion? Or
Mr Mayor, I'll speak for the motion because, as you know, said, it was basically what I had proposed in my notice of motion, so I'm supporting it, yes.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion?
This is the amendment.
The amendment? Please go ahead,
Can I
Councillor.
just speak without
Please
being
go
for or
ahead.
against? I just want to publicly say that I believe the purchase of the Romavilla winery is in the hands of the community as to their level of interest, passion, intention, and I believe our role as councillors is to then progress the expressed sentiment of the people. So I am very much in favour of going out to effective community consultation. That will actually gauge the level of support and what it will look like and the purpose and the governance and the stakeholder involvement. To me, that is the only way we can operate. I truly don't think that the time frame needs to be the major deciding point. I think if we go to community consultation, what will evolve out of that consultation will be an indication of how quickly it can be enacted, if that is what the sentiment of the community is, or the how it then gets enacted. And I am very, very confident that it won't be let's rush in quickly, because of the fact that it is a heritage listed building, which means anybody buying it will have to be reflective of that, which means that if we don't buy it and somebody else does, they still have to retain the winery as a heritage list, or they've got to retain the heritage listing of the building. So to me, I'm very much in favour of going out to community consultation. I just don't believe we should be getting caught up with it goes into this budget or next budget. That will fall out of the community consultation, is my feeling.
So, Councillor Guthrie, but this is an amendment about pushing it to the next financial year, so you understand that. That's what
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking we're the 22nd of March. We're going to deliver the budget in June. That
No,
gives us...
just checking that you understand that this is the amendment, we're not talking to the motion.
So they're not mutual. To me, the amendment is not exclusive of the original amendment. It's just putting a time frame in that says we will continue the consultation, but it won't be in a budget consideration until the following financial year, is how I'm reading it.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Just checking on that. Now, does someone want to speak against the motion?
Against the amendment.
Amendment?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'm a bit like Councillor Guthrie. I think I'm all for going to community consultation first and foremost, and we've got to do the briefing as part of that process before or whatever. I think will dictate where we go next. I think setting any budget, for argument's sake, coming out of the briefing or the community consultation, someone might come along and just go, I didn't know about this, I'm willing to invest, bang, save us all. So until we have all that, we're not really sure. So I'm happy not to put any budget stuff in there at all until we have the community consultation.
So that's why you're speaking against the amendment. Does anyone wish to speak for the amendment? Councillor Taylor.
I'm going to vote for the amendment, even though I don't really want to buy the winery at all. But I'm happy to go to community consultation if it's done the right way, with the right questions being asked. So I know Councillor McMullen had this as the next motion. So to support him and the fact that I don't really like even kicking the can down to the next financial year, but at least this way, all those previous things that you've got listed there will be done, and the decision can basically end up being in the hands of the community. So I am going to support the amendment, even though I don't want to buy the winery.
Does anyone wish to speak against the motion? The amendment?
I'm going to speak. I'm against the amendment.
Please go ahead.
I can't see anything wrong with the original one. I myself would rather see it in the. I don't like it being put down the road. I mean, it's been done far too often. By the time anything happens to it, the thing will fall down, and there won't be anything there to save in the end. So, but anyway, I don't think this motion was about the timing. The original motion was about the time. Was basically, whatever it said there was what it says, and that's saving the winery. And I was quite happy to vote for that, but I'm voting against this because I want to see it done sooner rather than later. And to get into whether you can afford it, can't afford it, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, differing opinions on that. All the figures are there. I don't know whether everyone's had a good look and seen just how much it does cost to save this winery, to buy the winery, sorry, how much it does cost. And I will say to you, how you say one thing about one asset and the next thing about another asset sort of confounds me a bit. You know, spending $3 million here and then saying you can't afford it down here. You know, it really makes my mind boggle sometimes when you think about, you know, what it really means when you say you can't afford it. I think you've got to look at a lot of other things before you can say that. In my opinion, in my professional opinion, we can afford it. But that's for another day. That'll be down the track, I guess. But yeah, just for the moment, I'm just going to vote against this amendment. Thank you.
Okay, does someone wish to speak?
Speak against.
For the amendment? Anybody else? Councillor Hancock.
I'm going to support the amendment because I said right from the outset that it was about the timing for me. And the reason I'm going to support this amendment is because this will give us time. And the other reason I'm going to support this amendment is because at the next budget, we're still going to consider the project in line with our asset management and all the other projects that we have on our case. And so that's why I'll support this, because it gives more time and we can consider it in due course with every other project that we've got on our asset management plan. I always support community consultation, and I think it's a very healthy thing. And as an elected member sitting at this table, that is important for me to help me make my decision. I am absolutely offended to hear that the Mayor says that anybody who supports this amendment to this resolution has already made up their mind not to buy the winery. That is not the case for me, and yet I'm supporting this amendment. I have not made up my mind about whether we're buying the winery or not. I am open to community consultation. I'm open to hearing who in the community wish to be involved in this project. But I do, as sitting here as an elected member, have the right to have my personal opinion. I'm not sitting here as a professional like Councillor Edwards just said he had. But my personal opinion, when I look at the books and the asset management, we can't afford it at the moment. And so that is my opinion. I have the right for that opinion. And so it is offensive to say that I've already made up my mind when I have not.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against the amendment?
I'll speak against it. I just think the majority of people that I've spoken to are all for the winery, and I do believe the only thing we can't afford with the Romavilla is to keep putting it off. The longer we put it off, I drive past that building every day, and I don't think we can afford to let it go. I've been to other wineries, and there's not a winery anywhere in Queensland has got a stitch on Romavilla and the history inside that building. So I just think we just can't afford to wait around, because the building won't be there forever. And if we keep pushing it down the track, that's what'll keep happening.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion amendment? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yeah, well, thank you. Just so we're clear, the amendment is part of the overall resolution. All those other points would still happen. We're just simply putting in there that we would consider this as part of the 24-25 budget. Nothing stops. The consultation would still occur. We would go out to the community. We would get their feedback. It's just foreshadowing, given the time frame, that it would be considered in a future budget, not this year. So I just want to be very clear that that's what the amendment is. It didn't delete all the other aspects of what the substantive resolution was. My gauge is if that amendment is supported today, it will be a 9-0 vote. The substantive resolution would be a 9-0 vote. If it's supported that we consider this in a future financial year and do all the grunt work that we need to do now with the community. You say that, Mr Mayor, that we've been talking about this for 12 months. That's right, we have in this room, but it's only since December that a majority of council made the right decision to release the name of the historic asset, the Romavilla Winery. So we could be actively out there having conversations and listening to all the other contributions today. That has been occurring. And there's mixed feelings, right? We know that there's obviously mixed feelings around the table here, which is reflective of the community. But taking the next step to go out to broad consultation will flush that out even more, and we'll be informed as decision makers as to what the right steps are for our community. This isn't killing it. That's scaremongering. This is simply putting it in to be considered as a part of our overall asset acquisitions for next year. I've seen the list of priorities coming from councillors, from staff, as to what we need to invest in. To suggest that we can't afford this and we don't have the borrowing capacity, the Mayor's right, we do. We do have the borrowing capacity to be able to go and acquire this tomorrow. But when I hear councillors say that we can't afford it, my reading of that is they're looking at the entire priorities of Maranoa Regional Council across the region. Some have been highlighted today. The Roma pool is a big one. We all know that needs work, financial investment and commitment from council and others, right? But there's Bassett Park. We talk about that often, right? There are 2 projects in Roma. We could find half a dozen in all the other smaller communities that make up where our priorities are for our region. So when I hear councillors say we can't afford it, it's not that we can't go and borrow the money. We've got the borrowing capacity. I know councillors know that, but it's whether this fits right now, this year, as a priority. It's not killing it. It's going out to public consultation, and it's giving the confidence that this will be considered as part of the next budget period. And I think that's a good way forward for us to work together as an entire council. And as I said, my reading of the room is if this amendment got up, the next vote would be 9-0.
Okay, then that's everyone spoken. All those in favour of the amendment? All those against?
Against?
5-4 if I can call for a division. Okay, that is the motion. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor
Yeah, I
Ladbroke.
just want to say, probably repeat what I said before. I think the sooner we move on the villa, like it's 135 years old, it's not going to be there forever. And if we don't move on it, it'll be gone, and it's gone forever, and it won't be worthwhile fixing. So I think what we're doing is important for the Roma community.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Burkett.
I'll still support this. I wasn't in favour of putting any date, whether it's this budget or next budget. And like I said, until we go to consultation, have the briefing, we're flying blind a bit. I think you guys always say putting the cart before the horse. I think that we should have waited till after. I wasn't against Councillor McMullen's motion either. I was actually going to just lay that on the table until after we had the consultation. So I do think putting a time frame on anyway, whether it's this budget, next budget, is not what we should be doing, but happy to support the rest of the motion because I think it's most important to go out to public consultation and have the briefing.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
I will. I'll support this
I didn't speak.
motion and as Councillor Burkett
I
said,
did vote for the amendment.
It's wrong up there then. Is it wrong up there?
all right.
Wasn't it 5-4 for the amendment?
Yeah, 5-4
Yeah,
carried.
5-4.
Kel.
You ran the wrong way.
Yeah, I
Cal.
thought that I was trying to, couldn't keep.
Oh, sorry, we got it
The
round the wrong way.
motion was one.
Okay.
The amendment.
Oh,
The amendment was
Yeah.
one.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
the motion,
So the amendment became
it's
the
just
motion.
round the
Yep.
wrong way, that's all.
Councillor Guthrie, that
Oh,
was the
okay.
Was it,
Okay.
was
I'm
it
not
4-5?
talking.
I got a different vote.
Sorry?
No, it was 5-4.
Yeah, definitely.
It was 5-4.
definitely 5-4.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right, now, does anyone else wish to
Who was-
speak to the motion?
Mark had started to say
Yeah.
something.
Sorry, I don't know where we're at with this thing.
Okay, so this is the motion, the amendment 1 got up, so that is part of the motion. Does anyone wish to speak to the whole motion with the amendment now in it?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll speak to it. has already been mentioned and it's here in the agenda. I had similar sort of stuff in the next one, but that's good. We've dealt with it now. I've had, I know it's half a dozen people, it's not a lot, but if half a dozen people want to buy the winery, they don't want council spending any money on it. I've always said I'm not against buying it, and I told a critic there a few months ago I wasn't against buying it, but I said to now is not the right time, and I've stuck by that all the way.
Right now, does anyone else wish to speak for the motion or against the motion? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak for it. I'm supporting this because I think this is a much stronger resolution now to go out to community consultation. I've got mixed feelings about this, but like Councillor Hancock, I haven't made my mind up because I actually want to know what the community want. And yes, I've had a conversation, probably similar numbers to Councillor McMullen, and I've got to say, out of that 12, the majority don't want council to buy it, but there are a couple that do. And so I want us to go out and have a proper conversation with the community to understand their sentiments, because ultimately it's their money. Whether we take a loan, whether we pull it from general rates, it's their money. And so they have a right to inform their councillors, their decision makers. And so on that basis, I support this. I think this is the step in the right direction to have these conversations, and by informing the community that it will be considered as part of the 24-25 budget, it gives a time frame to do a correct level of consultation, and not just in Roma, I might add. This consultation will be far and wide, similar to when we go out and have conversations about the Roma pool and the design. We've got to encourage feedback from all of the constituents that put us here. So I'm supportive of this, and I'll be voting in favour.
Does anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion? Righto, then I'll sum up. Well, I'm very disappointed with this motion.
Mr Mayor, who moved the motion?
Mayor.
I did.
Oh, we go back to the original one, I apologise, yeah.
Very disappointed about this motion. I do believe it is people that wish, if you push it off and the building falls down, I'm not in favour of this motion. I think it's really disappointing because, it's like something getting older and older and older and then waiting for it to fall down so we don't have to do anything. And I think compared to the decisions that were council was pressured into making in the beginning of this term, saving a historic asset is nothing. And I believe the community that we will go and talk to will want to save the winery, and I certainly won't be supporting the date of pushing off the next financial year. I don't think that's a responsible thing to do when we've got such a jewel in the crown that we should take advantage of, and that you can't spend money on trying to create another one. Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against?
Against?
That is carried 6-3,
6-3, yeah.
if I can call for a division. Okay, so moving on to...
What happens to this one? Just
It's up to him, the councillor.
okay, 8.4...
8.3.
8.3, sorry, 8.3, acquisition of historic asset.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, due to the discussions we've just had with 8.2, I'll withdraw my motion, notice of motion.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Item 8.4, additional briefing special meeting 29th of March 2023. Councillor
Mr
McMullen.
Mayor, I'd like to move that council repeal resolution number OM-03.2023-17.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0.
Chair, can I just leave the meeting for a quarter of an hour or something? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So page 32.
11.1, monthly financial report as at the 28th of February 2023. Please go ahead.
To Director Eric, on the top of page 33 where it says percentage of budget 67% target, what does that mean exactly?
So that's year to date, we're up to,
67% of the year.
yeah, so it's eight.
That's
eight-
what I thought, I was
yeah.
just checking. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do. In the 2022-23 current budget, where it's 44,809,177, does that include the rates that have just gone out?
Sorry, which area?
The very front line,
Top line.
Top line? Yes,
yeah, they're already
Yes.
gone out.
yes.
Levied
There
in
will
February.
be, I would like to suggest that when you're talking about net rates, it won't take into account any things like discounts that are applied. The discounts will apply when the actual rates are due. So although that's higher than current budget, next month that number should fall as everybody pays to receive their 5% discount or their pensioner discount or whatever concession that they do receive. So just for your noting.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Can I keep going? While I'm on a roll. On page 36, it says in progress major projects. The design for the pool not in there?
I do know that it has been budgeted for. There was an amount, I think it was 500, I can't recall whether it's 500,000 or 300,000.
Yeah, I know it's been
We definitely have it in
budgeted
the
for, I
budget.
just didn't see it in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so through the chair, it is in progress. The tender has been out and it has been decided. If not at your last meeting, the meeting prior to that. So it is in progress, the detailed design.
Righto, any other questions?
No, I'm good for the minute, thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Neill.
Eric, what's the, or Edwina, everyone's answer, what is our current percentage of vacancies?
When you're talking about vacancies, are you talking about human resources?
It just says employee benefits, we're below target due to vacancies. I just want to understand, in terms of a number, how many vacancies do we currently have?
Question on notice, because it's changing every day, right?
What, taken as of today would be really good to understand.
Well, I can't tell you what today is. I don't have those figures, but I can tell you that last month it was about 13.4% turnover, but that doesn't necessarily equate to a vacancy rate. But, I could certainly share that information.
Yep,
from
that would be
HR.
wonderful. And just a question on page 36. Can you remind me what lot 145 is? It says acquisition of land
EDQ.
145.
It's Clearview Estate.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
right. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that council receive and note the monthly financial report for the period ended the 28th of February 2023.
We have a seconder. Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Just say thank you guys for putting it together. It's good.
Righto, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Oh, yes, right, okay.
Okay, 11.2, Audit Committee report. we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move the council receive and note the unconfirmed minutes of the audit committee meeting held on the 9th of March 2023.
Seconder, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Okay, we are now, next is page 55.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
13.1, Pump and Engine Project and Restoration. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that one, that council endorse the reimbursement of restoration costings for Mr. I just think I should put his first name in there, director? You?
My apologies, Mr. Ray White.
Yeah, but, yeah. For Mr. Ray White, estimated up to $2,000 ex-GST GL 02087.2017, Warrego Local Directorate Operations and Maintenance. 2, note that the local area director has nominated this project in the 2023/24 budget for consideration as per resolution number OM/02.2023/11 on the 8th February 2023. I just have a question.
Please go ahead. And I'll second that motion.
If this motion gets up today and the project gets up through budget, does this money then get taken out of the budget that we're setting against it?
Through the chair, no, that this is a special allocation coming out of our current maintenance budget to fund
This would
the.
be on, this is additional to what has been requested
That's
in,
correct,
in the
councillor.
report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, does the move wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, sorry, one more question. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Please go ahead.
When we say estimated up to $2,000, so obviously Mr. White's going to give us some receipts and documents and we'll know exactly what that figure is.
Yeah, through the chair, councillor, yeah, that's correct. He's just estimated at the moment and he's given me a bit of an idea of what he will spend. So he's currently in that spend mode. But yeah, he pretty much assured me that he'd only go up to 2,000 and that we'd get some receipts and documentation out of that.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Yeah, Councillor Ladbrook.
As Mayor's
The
already
Mayor's
seconded.
Oh, he has to.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
so does anyone wish to speak to the motion, the mover?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Does anybody else wish to? I will. Think this is a great opportunity. And what a difference it does if the community members do something rather than council's costs do it. So, yeah, any way we can support this, I'll certainly be supporting this motion. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Thank you.
13.2, Maranoa Regional Council Biosecurity Plan 2013 to 2027 for adoption. Councillor McMullen.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that council adopt the attached Maranoa Regional Council Biosecurity Plan 2023 to 2027.
We have a second to Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say that it's been a fairly long process. It was well overdue, and I'd like to thank the staff that are not here and the contract lady, Liz Otto, that all put a fair bit or a lot of time and effort into it and to get it to where it is today.
Does any, Councillor Guthrie?
Yeah, I'd also like to thank the members of our community who attended the meetings that were held in each of the different locations and who were very, very strong on advocating for biosecurity to be a major project and to be given due consideration. And I'd also like to thank the Director of Warrego, who's just come in, for his contribution in leading and initiating and guiding the whole of this, drawing up the biosecurity plan. I think it's a step forward for us in the years to come.
Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'd also just like to follow on from Councillor McMullen, Councillor Guthrie. I attended one of the sessions and I thought it was very rewarding for all those involved. I think there was a lot to come out of it, and I just wanted to applaud the director and also the outside people that come in and spoke, and also the members of the community. I thought it was a great information section.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'd like to speak. I think this is a classic case of operating locally. You know, we've had this biosecurity plan, I believe was overdue. We changed the structure of council. We've got more local bosses. Some of them come with other knowledge and expertise, and we've knocked this over that was way overdue from my memory, based, you know, from when we used to operate differently. So I certainly think this is a win, and I'd like to thank the local boss for Bringa, the director. Thank you for getting this done. We really appreciate it. So, okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the move wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Seamus.
Thank you, Seamus.
14.1, Roma Saleyards Annual Store Sale Fundraiser Revised Policy.
I've got some questions.
Yes, Councillor Ladbroke was first. What were you?
Going to move.
Okay, so you'll be happy to move. We'll go to questions.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions.
Paul's just come in.
Good morning, Paul.
Morning.
Just with the policy itself, on page 148, it's just got responsible position, regional sport, recreation, community support. Do we have somebody in that position?
Through the chair, no, we don't. And really, it should actually, the responsible position for this will actually be the General Manager, Saleyards.
Yeah, I was thinking that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, we can certainly amend that.
There wasn't any other reason?
Through you, Mr Mayor, in the original development, I didn't have a lot to do with it. It was done through Economic Development and Director of Roma at that time. And it was done that way because it was decided that it was to come out of the community grants funds rather than the Saleyards budget. So I'm only assuming that that's why it's in there as that.
So my second question, I'm glad you raised that. That was my second question, is I note in the future budgets on page 146, it's saying that we'll need to consider allocating $150,000 from community grants. From my recollection, we don't have $150,000 in community grants, so we would have to increase our community grants budget to be able to accommodate that.
Yeah, through the chair, I mean, certainly I think the sentiment of the report is trying to raise the fact that if this is truly a donation or, you know, public money, is that you put it, that you do need to create a budget for that. You either increase community grants or increase donation sponsorship, however you like to frame that.
But we're not, you know, we're not taking the whole community grants bucket and then just giving it to this. We're going to have to look at our community grants if we do this, because we can't just, because there's not even that amount, and there'd be no community grants rounds then. So, and my second question is, with the policy, I'm just wondering if councillors would be open to putting somewhere in the policy that that it's just not a given. You know, like that it's just, that we still have to be written to and asked, and whether we can then assess it on, you know, the affordability even of how the Saleyards going on. And I think we need further conversation about, are we taking it from community grants? Is it coming from Saleyards? Is it, like, I just think we need to understand whether, because my response is that people are saying to me, how can you afford it when the Saleyards is not doing so well? And that's a fair comment. And so for me as a councillor, I would like to actually still be able to assess each year on a case situation as to how we are going, rather than just a blanket, yep, we're going to do this. So I'm just throwing that out there.
So through the chair, is just the way you would handle that is if you'd want to have an annual review of the policy.
Which would come before budget.
Yep, but certainly you could line it up that prior to, you know, budget.
Councillor McMullen?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I was just going to ask Councillor Hancock, 4.2 obligations, is that not going to assist?
Point is make a formal request.
It's got a 4.5 request from area medical service organisations to hold a charity sale
Yeah.
are to be addressed in writing to the CEO.
Yep.
Yep. Referring to the eligibility. So I suppose the step is that written to the CEO and then considered by council.
Yeah, because
So-
it can
and
write to
through,
see.
through the chair, you could rearrange the order of that. You could put process before obligations, and that would
Yeah,
sort that
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Okay, does,
Sorry.
please go, have you got a question?
Yeah, I do. When it says the 150 from community grants, how much money is in community grants? Usually, what's the pot
Through the
start
chair, I think, look, I'm happy to take the question on notice, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of about 165,000 a year, I think, from memory.
165?
Yeah, but I can take that question on notice and get that information
It's
for you.
2 rounds of community grants.
So 2 times
No,
165?
no.
One time.
Okay, we have a mover, please go ahead, councillor Ladbrokes.
I'd like to move that council adopt the policy Roma Saleyards annual store sale fundraising revised policy version 2. And 2, repeal the previous versions of the Roma Saleyards annual store sale fundraising revised policy, removing any versions from the website and policy register. Number 3, update the website policy register with the revised policy. Do you want the, no, that's it. Page 148, update general manager Saleyards responsibility.
Yeah, do you want to just
position.
read that one a bit louder? That-
What, the last one?
Yeah,
That'd be page 148, update general manager Saleyards responsible position.
Mr Mayor.
What Kelly's doing, but it should also include the rejigging of the process into 4.2.
Yeah,
That's
make
what I was
that
gonna ask.
4.2 and then make obligations 4.3 and subsequent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.2.
4.2 would be, you bring 4.5, the process, into after eligibility criteria.
councillor
which is
Burkett.
Oh, well, that's, well, I was going to, happy to second and I was going to ask the same question, but
Righto, we got a second, councillor Burkett.
Mr Mayor, just a quick question.
Yep, please go
I was
ahead.
wondering, maybe suggest an amendment, a dot point 4 to notify any of the previous recipients of the change of policy. Because it clearly states in there that they can only apply once in a year.
So you're going to clarify that, that's from now on, because we've already made that other
Yeah.
decision?
I'm assuming as of the end of June. Well, when will this kick in?
Just send them out the policy.
Yeah, now, so
We've
you
already
need,
approved.
Twice 4.
probably need to clarify that.
Yes, so,
As of the 30, no, how would you word that?
Can't you just send them out the policy?
Yeah, but the policy, if I put that in, but,
As of the 22nd of
Yeah.
March 2023.
yeah, but that's gonna, they'll think straight away they're not gonna get the next one because we've already approved it, but the policy's not gonna allow it next year or next time.
yep. So through the chair, what you are saying in adopting this policy, and I realise you're just
Yeah.
crafting the motion here, is you're saying that this applies from the 1st of July onwards?
That policy,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
No, I'm
That's
just
what I'm
asking that
suggesting.
question. Is that what you're
Yeah.
trying to
Put
articulate?
it in one, adopt
Yep.
policy, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
effective 1st of July 2023.
okay. Yeah. And I still think we should notify them, any of the previous
absolutely.
recipients of the, a new policy.
Okay, do we have a second of, we got a seconder, yes? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Got to see if they want to accept my amendment first, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, now does the mover happy with the amendment?
I am.
Seconder happy with the amendment? Yeah. Righto, that's then the motion. Councillor Hancock?
So, Madam CEO, if this policy gets up today, does that mean that the request needs to come to council, or is it the fact that just writing to yourself, and because we have a policy in place, you can accept it with the amendment?
Yes,
What does it mean?
look, I think two things probably is that the policy allows for the CEO to accept that, but you just need the budget there to be able to enact that fully. So it would be certainly your policy is suggesting that the requests are addressed in writing to the CEO. What you're asking me is, am I signing off on those requests? I guess to make it clear, is that council's intention that I would be signing off on those as CEO?
But it says,
Satisfactory budget.
says the request and date of the charity will be approved by council
Yeah, right, okay. So,
in the second paragraph.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but, so, when it says that, what does that, which council is that? Council?
No, that's through the chair. If we're putting
okay.
this as a corporate policy, council means elected members.
Councillor McMullen?
Mr Mayor, my understanding is once something's in a policy, the staff can act on it.
That's right, that's what I'm
You,
thinking.
you have the ability to write the policy. You have the ability to write the policy as you
Yeah, yeah.
certainly, yeah.
Unless we change it.
And we're still pulling the money out of community grants, not out of the Saleyards?
So through the chair, you've got the option, right? So if you want to clarify wording in this policy right now to make that absolutely definitive, you can do what you need to do. Your choice in relation to how do you fund your policy, well, that is a council choice. In your policy settings, you're saying from a community grants type process, you can forego revenue, but you'll have to actually adjust your budget accordingly, and then that would be foregone revenue. I believe the intention when you wrote the policy was to make it quite visible that council was making this donation to the community, and that by foregoing revenue that really wasn't achieving that aim, it was just cutting off. It wasn't as visible, and that you were making a very generous statement to the aeromedical sector, and that you'd made those allowances. That's my interpretation of what sat behind that policy, that your intention was to make it very visible.
So wouldn't we just put it in, when we do the budget this time for 2023,
23, 24,
24,
that's right.
allocate $150,000 in the budget so we know we're going to
It's for
spend it
aeromedical,
and it's all done and dusted?
that's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
But that's, yeah, anyway, let's have the debate first. Okay, so does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yep, I'd just like to speak to the motion. And I think the obligations for the charities that they do get promotional material 4 weeks before the sale. So maybe if they do the advertising right, we'll get more cattle through the Saleyards, which will be beneficial to us.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion? I'll speak against the motion. I think the mistake was made when council decided to have a policy and make 3 events a year. It really was only one, and I think it should be on a case-by-case basis. I also don't agree with it coming out of community grants completely, because the idea is to promote the Saleyards, and if the charities are doing a good job, the Saleyards get benefits out of it. So I don't believe it should come out of all of it coming out of community grants. I think some of it could, but some of it should be the Saleyards covering it, because it's a promotion for the Saleyards. We're not promoting the Saleyards event for our swimming pool. We're promoting it for the Saleyards. And I think the mistake was made when we decided to have a policy and put 3 in it. It's actually just made the issue bigger rather than smaller. So I won't be...
I'm back, Chair.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah.
We're on
Councillor
14.1, Roma Saleyards Annual Store Sale Fundraiser, and it should be on your screen.
Yes,
And I'm speaking against the motion.
I've got, yeah.
So, yeah, I won't be supporting this Okay, Councillor Guthrie?
Now, I'd just like to say, as an individual councillor, I think that this has been a really, really powerful learning opportunity for me and maybe for my colleagues, because when we went to devising this policy, we had the right intention, I do believe, and I do think that we're trying to support the efforts of aeromedical organisations that are seeking fundraising for good purposes. We did the policy, and it was really interesting. At the last meeting, we had a lot of discussion about, well, what does it actually mean from a practical point of view? I think we've now come somewhat further forward to try and resolve some of the practical inconsistencies that we went, oh my goodness, that's not what we meant, but that's what the policy said. So I'm going to support this, but I'm also going to say that if we haven't quite got it right at this point, maybe we tweak it further, because I think we've got the right intention. We just need to get the wording and the policy that's reflective of what we're seeking to do.
Okay, does someone wants to speak against the motion?
I've got a procedural motion.
Please go ahead.
I'm going to move that we lay this on the table to the next general meeting of council to come back via a council briefing for us to, two things. One, have a look at the financial implications more thoroughly, and for us to have a look at options in terms of the processes of how decisions of whether we go ahead with charities are made.
Okay,
Amongst whatever, anything else councillors want to consider at a briefing in relation to this.
all those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? 8-1 if I can call for a division. Okay. Thank you. 17.1, Roma CBD cigarette disposal relocation.
Is that to another shire, Mr Mayor?
Pardon?
Do they still exist?
Trust me, there's still people out there puffing away.
Yeah, there is. So I'd like to move that a report be prepared.
Mr Mayor, sorry. I need to raise this. Do you have a conflict of interest on this matter?
No, I don't, because it's not on Golders Corner, and it's, I've said in there that this report is about, not on Golders
But
Corner.
you've included excluding Golders Corner, and so
Well, actually, I can say it a different way. It is dealing with the whole CBD, excluding the corner of Arthur and McDowell Street.
which is your but it's your corner. Your
No, I'm
business is-
excluding that. So we did like the CBD, where I excluded like the whole CBD in that case. I don't believe I've got a conflict if it's not our corner.
You're asking us to exclude your corner.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is I'm doing a report. Okay, to do it another way, if all the streets in the CBD except for one corner, I'm not asking to, that's what the report is. It's not dealing with corner of Arthur and McDowell Street.
No, but that's my point. Your business is on the corner of Arthur and McDowell. You're asking us then to exclude that corner. And so,
No, I'm just not dealing with it. Not dealing with that corner.
but then we have to consider not dealing with that corner in your resolution, which you are conflicted
Yeah.
on because your business is on that corner.
Mr Mayor, my take on this the other day wasn't it? So you're not worried where the cigarette things are in front of the bakery and all that?
This report is not to do with that area there, right? So,
So there, Mr Mayor, I have to raise again, there is a conflict here because you're asking us to exclude a corner in which your business is on. It's the same as if you asked us to include it. You're conflicted.
no, I'm not asking to exclude it. I'm just making a point what area. If I had a map, I would say the areas that I want to consider, which are the other corners in the CBD.
And therefore, you're asking us to
No,
exclude.
I'm not. I've never asked that.
Well, you just said it before.
No. Councillor
Can I just ask?
Guthrie?
Would it be worthwhile declaring a conflict of interest on your part and having your colleagues make a decision as to whether you can be part of it?
Because in the
Way forward.
the executive summary says this request is for a report to come back to council to investigate the potential for relocation of current cigarette disposal sites, excluding, you're asking us, Golders Corner to be like,
Well, it was another way to say all the other streets. I could have listed the other corners, but not that corner.
but then you're
It doesn't
conflicted on
matter.
this matter then.
Anyway.
Can the CEO
If you had
give
have
us
done
an
that, it would have
opinion?
been an issue, wouldn't have been
Can
an
we
issue.
have an opinion from the CEO?
Look, through the chair, the way look, I understand the mayor's intention. He's actually just trying to actually look at a report being brought back to council to cost what the relocation of cigarette disposals are that are located in the CBD. You've heard from the mayor saying, look, it's just a map. It's just saying, I recognise I'm sited at that particular spot, and you're arguing that that's even a conflict in itself. A simple way around it would be a DCOI. However, you know, we're talking about cigarette disposals in the CBD in public space. It's not Golders Corner, it's public space.
We've got to deal with the matter at hand, CEO, and the report that has been crafted by the mayor clearly says for us to consider excluding Golders Corner.
No, anyway.
It does in the executive summary say you're asking us to exclude
Okay, well, I'm
Golders
happy
Corner.
to change the report to say I'm dealing with the corners in McDowell Street, which is corner of Hawthorne Street, the other corners, like I could name them, you know, the Royal Corner, the School of Arts Corner, the Chemist Corner, you know, the Post Office Corner.
Mr Mayor's on Golders intersection.
Beg pardon?
The chemist is a part of
No,
Golders.
over that side though.
No, it's
I
on the
think
other
we
side
just-
of the street.
Can I,
Picking up?
can I
what?
move a procedural motion that we lay on the table later in
Or
the
no
meeting
less
so
than
we
anybody
can,
else.
you can formulate another
Well,
motion?
It's just
Promoting,
petty.
I've asked to,
All those in favour?
Sorry, is it?
Like-
What of?
I didn't hear what it was, sorry.
laid on the table.
till we can formulate a better resolution that otherwise we're going to be here for 3 days.
Yeah, talking about cigarette butts.
Laid on the
Those in
table.
favour?
Filthy dirty habit.
Yes.
9-0.
9-0.
Excellent.
Can I just say, with all due respect, Councillor Ladbrook, I'm not being petty. I'm simply raising that there is a report here from the mayor that cites a particular corner that references his business. We're obligated, if we feel that there is a conflict, to raise it. I'm not being petty. In fact, I'm trying to protect the mayor, that we don't have an issue here on a matter that is really important. I get it. But we are obligated as councillors to raise when we believe another councillor may have a conflict of interest.
Right, well, that matter's gone, so we'll move on to the late.
Do we have morning tea?
We'll probably
Do we have morning tea today?
Morning tea? Because we've got something at 11, haven't we?
Okay, yeah, we'll break for morning tea. Okay, we're ready to go down the back there? Thank you. L1, water supply treatment. Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that, one, a report be brought back to an ordinary meeting to investigate using magnesium as an alternative to chlorine to treat our water supply and any other potential options. Two, council liaise with Queensland Health as part of this investigation.
Okay, I'll second that. Do we have any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I just want to also thank Kelly for giving me a little help with this. I'd just like to think that we could find an alternative solution some way. I think, not saying Queensland Health didn't do their due diligence back in the day, but I think that in hindsight it might have been a poor option, just with certain things that have gone on health-wise, even to our infrastructure, the effects of chlorine. If we can use magnesium in pools, I'd like to think, and it's also healthy to drink, I think that might be a good option to do, and a lot more people might start drinking out of the tap again like we all did when we grew up. So hopefully we'll get some good information and some good results out of this investigation.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
Question.
Please go ahead.
So, Councillor Burkett, what's the difference between chloride and magnesium? What's the...
Well, magnesium's more healthy for your body. Chlorine, have you ever drunk a gutful of pool water?
Yes, of course.
Not real pleasant, is it?
No, especially when kids have been swimming in it. No, but what I'm saying is, what's the chemical thing?
Oh, I'm not sure that
Like-
right into magnesium, but it's a health. It's
Yeah, I know
classed as a
magnesium is
health
supposed
product.
to be good for you, but does it kill all the germs?
Oh yeah, well, it's pools have got to be held to a high regard if people are going to swim in them.
Yes.
Swim in them. So there's salt, magnesium, and chlorine. So they've all got to be on that same level. So if it's can do that and you can drink it, well,
Yeah.
be better.
Also, Councillor Burkett, would you?
Oh, welcome.
Okay, you're back?
Yep.
Thank you. Would you be willing to just change that motion slightly to look at the water management drinking plan, which is why chlorine was included, to have a look at other options, as in,
They've got that to treat our water supply and other preferred or potential options.
okay, but will you put in there as part of the water management drinking plan, because that's where chlorine came from, is it was a way to reduce risk with our bores, because we've been using bores forever and people have been drinking out of them. But if it's a contaminated bore, so it's actually to do with the risk assessment, to do with the water management drinking plan, that actually one way to deal with the risk was to put chlorine in our water.
But, Mr Mayor, the thing that the public aren't impressed with, and I'm for one aren't, they did it to water supply that had any issues for, well, I'll use the example, Mitchell Water Tower. Water's been stored in there since 1955, never one issue. And instead of just isolating certain ones, we used to chlorinate ambient Mangalala for different reasons, a light dosing, but now it's just gone to extreme and they can't use the water tower because it took the lining out of it. So if it's taken the lining out of a concrete tank, what else is it doing?
But what I'm saying to you, the key in making any changes is the water management drinking plan. So
So
if you reference,
to treat our water supply and our other potential options to meet our,
It's on the board.
as part of the water management drinking plan. Yeah,
Would
I'm
you-
happy with that.
yeah, and I'll second that. Okay, so,
it's
because you have to
the,
do a risk
it's-
assessment, and that's what you're going to be finding out to do with your chlorine and your,
Sorry to be,
It's the water management drinking plan.
It's,
council does it.
yeah,
So it's
it's
our own
It's
plan.
our own plan, how we manage risk.
it's the Australian Drinking Water Quality Management Plan,
Okay,
sorry.
Australian-
It's
Oh, so it's not our plan.
ADWQM,
No, it's- we've
and
adopted
then
it.
you could put your narrative there in brackets.
Yeah,
Australian Drinking Water,
so chlorine
Quality-
was a risk
quality
management
management plan.
strategy, and
Yep.
that's why they had to put it in there, but it's probably not the only one, it's just the easiest one. And it might be the only one, I don't know, but, okay, I'll speak to this motion.
I've got an amendment. to
Please go
suggest.
ahead.
Just instead of saying Queensland Health, amend that to say Queensland Government, because there are other departments that look after this, given that it was a legislative change that we had to chlorinate our water.
Yeah, we'll so liaise with relevant
be under the
Queensland
Water
government
Act,
departments.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because,
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, I'll speak to this motion. I think, obviously it's not really accurate sometimes, the amount of chlorine. We have feedback from, the feedback that, there is so much chlorine in the water that people can't use it for drinking. It's an inaccurate one. And as it's been brought up, it's fixing one problem, but I don't think it's beneficial to a lot of things, including our water tower at Mitchell. So I think that this is timely that we actually have a look at it with creative people and say, how do we reduce the risk without having to go to an extreme level? Does anyone else wish to speak? Does the Mayor wish to sum up?
Oh, just, Mr Mayor, just to say that we've had issues in one of our regional towns in the last couple of weeks, which was a chlorine issue. We had to get bottled water in. But how Australian is it just to go out to the garden hose and have a drink, and no kid gets to experience that anymore because...
It's too hot, the water.
Well, that too, with the heat. But, there's nothing better, I reckon, growing up, and you could just, now everyone's got to buy a bottle of water everywhere they go, and I just think that we shouldn't have to be doing that this day and age.
Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Okay, 9-0. L2, public toilets, Warrego Highway, eastern end to Roma. Councillor Ladbrook.
I'd like to move that council investigate options and associate costs with, to improve the amenity of the public toilets located on the eastern entry to Roma on the Warrego Highway, and 2, be provided with a report outcome of investigations at a future meeting as to whether this could be undertaken in the current financial year or considered for the 23-24 financial year.
Mr Mayor, I've got an amendment, and I'm happy to second it.
Please go ahead.
I just wonder if the mover would be comfortable to add in after toilets, comma, and car parking area. And on that, I'm happy to second it.
I think car parking area has been done, isn't it, or is that?
It's in the budget,
Project in the budget.
Yeah, so is the mover willing to have that amendment?
Yeah, that's right.
Just,
So does the mover wish to speak to it, or have you got a
I
question?
do have a question. When the report comes back, if we can find out when the last time it has been painted, because it's been painted in this term of council.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It's all been repainted.
You ever been into them?
Yeah, that's actually the ones I pull up with all the time. They're the ones I choose to go to.
Yeah. I know.
So are they good? I've never been inside.
Well, I didn't mind them.
But anyway, let's get on with the debate.
So, have you got information, Director Dean?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, just in relation to the car parking side, Councillor, there is drawings ready, and I'm just not sure of the exact timing, but we have all but finalised the drawing for that, all that dirt area to be redone and resurfaced. As part of that work, though, we also have asked the architect who's drawn all of that, and they have subsequently provided us a redeveloped within using the same footprint that it is for that toilet block to be upgraded. And so at the moment, so I recognise exactly what you're saying. It's the first public toilets come in. It does need attention.
It is tight.
And when we're going to upgrade that parking area, it would be nice to be able to include the toilets being upgraded. And in that conceptual drawing, what we're moving to is a more modern style that you'll see at many other locations, which is the unisex style. So, and you'll actually get you get more facilities into there. And so,
So
like I
still
said,
keep the same building.
same footprint, just a slight remodification within
See, like
inside.
we've done with, or you've done with Bassett's Park.
Yeah.
You know, they look real good, you know, just to...
So I'm happy I'm happy to forward you those conceptual plans as well.
Just,
So...
through Mr. Mayor. Director Dean, just one thing that we've got to be careful with. I know sometimes over the years we upgrade toilets and replace them with the modular ones, and we seem to somehow lose a couple of pedestals or urinal, like they get replaced like for like. So you lose that capacity, especially at parks where you hold events. So I'd like to think we don't lose that capacity to, if a bus pulls up or even a family, you can't, they got to line up, you know.
Councillor McMullen?
And in listening to what I'm hearing too, I think we need to make sure we retain the showers are there too.
Yep. Righto. Councillor Hancock?
So just after hearing Director Dean, just wondering what the process is. When will we get briefed on that project, on that upgrade? Like how would this fit into what you're already doing? Is this can just go ahead and you'll bring that back to us, or?
So I think the car park, admittedly, I probably just need to talk with Cameron, but the car park stuff's proceeding. It's been budgeted for and the drawings are all but ready to go. The additional component though, which I'm okay where the resolution sits around bringing back the conceptual components around the actual toilet. It was just while we had the person drawing up the design that they then provided us some drawings of what a toilet block
Because I would
change would look like.
I'd like to see those conceptuals because personally, I hate unisex toilets, so I would love to
So
see
what
that.
would be the time frame? You know, I'm not, what would be the time frame? Plus, if you go from here to Toowoomba, they're really the worst toilets, presented toilets.
Well, they haven't been budgeted for, so it's obviously,
But you know, they just need a makeover. You know, so what would be the time frame?
Well, they haven't.
It's as I said, I think the resolution, plus or minus the car park component, but the resolution in relation to options for improving the amenity of the public toilets and bring it back to a meeting, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, just
Okay, does the mover wish to speak to it?
No, that's it. Thank you.
I'll speak to it. I do believe that what I'm envisaging, something like we did at Bassett Park, which is excellent. Congratulations to the Roma director. I'm very suspect on new toilets because generally when council have done them, They are actually worse than the old toilets. So I think for some reason the old toilets are normally very cool. They certainly need maintenance. They certainly need painting. Toilet cisterns are actually pretty economical to purchase, so you can replace them. They just need general maintenance. So I'll certainly be supporting this motion, and I think just as we do this more often, and hopefully in the future it doesn't need a report to come to council to trigger it, I think that it'll be a greater benefit to the people that pull up and use them. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up or go to the vote? All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
L3, Australian Local Government Association call for motions on the 2023. I would like to move that council do some different wording about, so obviously, yeah, just to let councillors know, South West Rock have got the chair and deputy chair going to the Australian Local Government Association. They're actually going to take South West Rock resolutions to them, and that'll save the need for anyone to go.
Oh, so you're not going now?
No, I don't think.
You're going to Canberra next week.
Yeah, next week,
Yeah,
but this is not.
This is different.
Oh, this is a different one, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You couldn't have gone anyway. We've got an ordinary meeting. That's what surprised me to see
No,
Mayor
okay.
and Deputy Mayor in here.
What's,
We've got an ordinary meeting over the National General Assembly. So I was surprised to see you and the Mayor in here as
Yeah.
delegates.
So I have a question, but
Please go ahead.
our motions, have we put our motions from our council through the South West Rock?
Very similar. We'd have to take that on notice.
Look, through the chair, they're still in preparation, working on that. We could. And that's not a problem to actually do that. We'll meet their timeline.
Because I noticed in here it said that that people need to be there. The representatives need to actually
Yeah,
be
they
there.
do.
Actually, what Councillor O'Neill said last meeting, the representatives have to be there to be able to put the motion up. And so
Yes.
if South West Rock doesn't accept our motions, there will have to be someone to go.
Yeah, but they will. I believe they will. It's a very collegial environment. So I do believe they will, and I think they've got the same issues that we have generally. So
And the other thing is, Ms Mayor, a couple of times you mentioned that you guys going to Canberra. What for?
Southwest Rock meetings.
Deputation.
Oh, so it's just for the South West Rock stuff?
Yep.
There's no other meetings for council or having the opportunity?
Well, it's on behalf of council through Southwest Rock, yeah, with the 6 councils that are going with deputations that have been organised for all 6 councils' representatives.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep. And look, through the chair, from memory, and we're still waiting on minutes from the Southwest Rocks, the 3 areas that the group did raise they wanted to put to ALGA were insurance, net zero, and the general practitioner crisis. So did you want to?
Yeah, so I'm happy to move that council
Just, what is it, submit motions to the Southwest?
council submit motions for
As presented to the Southwest
as
Queensland.
as presented to Southwest Rock
To the
to support Southwest Rock representatives taken to the National General Assembly.
Mr Mayor, I won't be committing to that because I don't know whether I'll be fit for travel. That'll only be 6 weeks after my operation.
Into
So.
the
No, you
Southwest Rock.
move that you're going.
No, this is not.
Oh, I wasn't. He's got it up there on the board.
No, it's
I've
changing.
changed the
Oh,
motion
okay, 'cause
because Southwest Rock are going.
I was reading what was on there.
Yeah.
The chair and the treasurer are going.
Okay.
So they are going to put the motions up for Southwest Rock for our
this-
council.
So as Peter would say, you've been dumped like a school.
And would you just have a second one
Dump
that
like a
said
what?
not attend the?
And then second, council not to send any representatives to the National Assembly.
Why wouldn't you go, Mr Mayor?
No, I've never been in South West Rock, Mayor and Deputy Mayor and the Chair, Chair Sam, and also
Councillor
Councillor Radnich are going on
No?
representing.
South West Rock, but no other mayors will go from anywhere.
No, not for the National Assembly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I just have a question on that.
please
part.
go.
There is often other mayors from Southwest that have been at ALGA.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know whether any are going, but they're going for South West Rock. Yeah.
So, look, and I don't have a problem, and I understand how it's happening, and that's fine. I just wonder whether we even need number 2, because, and the only reason I'm saying that is if something changes and someone, it doesn't work out, then that gives the opportunity for you to go, Mr Mayor. Whereas if we have a resolution, then we've got to repeal the resolution, whereas it just gives flexibility if it's not there, that you could go if something changes, is my only
Anyway,
suggestion.
I'm happy to get rid of number 2, so.
Yeah.
So you don't lock yourself in.
Yeah, right.
Okay, do we have a seconder for the motion?
Yeah.
Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay, moving on. L4, Quintin Street Stormwater issue. I'd like to move the report be prepared for an upcoming council meeting. And we have a seconder. I think Councillor McMullen was first. Do we have a seconder? And we'll go to the vote if no one wishes to speak. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay. So we've got C3. Is that open?
No, it's closed. C. It's closed.
It's in white, so.
This bit.
Okay. Do we have someone to move into closed?
But any conflicts before we go? I'm not sure, but
Any conflicts? Good point.
I don't think I have. Nothing much changed.
No conflicts? Still, do we have someone to move into closed, please? Councillor Hancock?
I move that in accordance with provisions of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that council resolved to close the meeting to the public at 12:42 p.m. to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed and an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. Agenda item C1, tender 23022 Peter Keegan Museum Design and Construct. C2, Denise Spencer Pool Management Agreement, option to renew. C3, MRC Draft Certified Agreement 2023 to 2026 update. C4, Request Waiver on Water Consumption 120140007. C5, Roma Saleyards Contractor Strategy Update. C6, Complaint 51 to 111 Miscamble Street, East Roma. C7, Rates Freeze Revenue Model Financial Year 2023 to 2024 Budget. C8, Draft 2023 to 24 Capital Projects. LC1, NuGrow Site Exit Roma Landfill.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Taylor, any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay, C1, tender Peter Keegan Museum, Design and Construct. I would like to move that council select Exhibit Pty Ltd as preferred supplier for tender 23022 Roma Big Rig Peter Keegan Museum Design and Construction, noting the submitted price for the concept of $376 $37,584, exclusive of GST, plus GST of $37,658.40 for a total cost of $414,242.40. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Exhibit Pty Ltd and form a contract when the detailed designs have been finalised and execute any documents necessary. Do we have?
Mr Mayor, just a question, is that after our discussion, that gives them enough scope to what we requested?
Now, in point 2, if there was some more negotiation needed, is there any wording that would need to be different? If final terms and conditions
You're actually allowing final negotiations, forming a contract and executing any documents necessary. I think that does cover it.
You mean with the flood
The
thing?
only thing that I would raise is the motion is different to what's recommended, so you might like to put on, select such and such, in point 1, on the grounds of, and make, some
normally
statement,
sometimes put a statement down the bottom.
exactly, statement of reason.
But what I was saying is, in there, enter into negotiations, because there was some discussion about
Yes,
what negotiations
yes,
had to happen.
sure.
So it's more flexible than that. It says final negotiations, but, because there's wording that is enter in negotiations, and if the terms are acceptable or something.
Yeah, sure. And I think and form a contract is, and should, instead of and form a contract, you might want to say, and should the, just after Exhibit Proprietary Limited, Kel, if you could just put a colon and then just put, should agreement be reached, form a contract.
If or should, or both, doesn't matter.
Should agreement be reached, form a contract.
Because if that...
The detailed
if
design's
that-
been
if
finalised, it's
they
really
don't
strange. But
reach
anyway,
an
should
agreement-
agreement be reached, form a contract when the detailed designs have been finalised and execute any documents necessary.
So, Madam CEO, if, for argument's sake, what we're looking at, if that doesn't reach that agreement in that second stage, does that come back to us, or that's
Yep,
still part of the
and
negotiation?
And you might want a point 3 that should agreement not be reached, a further report be provided to council with a recommendation in relation to.
We do.
And that gives staff enough scope to what we're talking about?
Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Guthrie.
Just wonder if we should tidy up 2.
Yeah, it's just authorise the CEO or to enter into final negotiations when the detailed designs have been finalised, isn't it? It's a bit tautology.
And should agreement be reached, execute
Form-
any documents
Yeah,
necessary?
form a contract and execute any documents necessary. That makes more sense. Maybe when the detailed designs have been finalised, maybe it's then authorises, lead to with when the detailed designs have been finalised, authorise the CEO or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Exhibit Proprietary Limited.
But we were going to put in there,
Should agreement be reached?
should agreement be reached, so it's.
Sorry, Kel, I think
it's
we
not
were
a
almost there
definite.
before.
Councillor Ladbroke.
I may have missed something, but didn't we talk about flooding, to make sure?
Yeah, that's what
That's
this,
staff, that's staff level.
That's operational.
When the detailed designs have been finalised
That's discussion.
and should an agreement
that will be in
been
there.
reached.
That's, staff will discuss that, that's operational,
Yeah,
not
Well,
ours.
it needs to be done,
Yeah.
I think officers said they took that on board today.
Okay, so it doesn't have to go in there?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
You can't start with when the detailed designs have been finalised.
Just authorise us to enter into final
No, but-
negotiations.
If that's part of the negotiation that Dean or Cameron's going to talk to them, and if it doesn't come back to what we're
Just trying to think.
looking at,
Then it comes back to us for
can't
another
make a
decision, but
should
it's
we-
number three.
What are they gonna talk?
Should agreement be reached?
Well, we know that's not gonna happen, they've already told them that.
You've moved that.
no, but when we were talking before, they were going to
That's
talk
when
to
you
them.
want to
But
tie it
that's,
up.
he's already made it quite clear that they've got their own.
Including detailed designs, and including the finalisation of detailed
They're just
designs,
outfitters.
execute any documents necessary.
Form a contract and execute, just because.
Okay, we'll just adjourn for a minute. With the meeting.
I believe
And,
we're going to close.
right, did we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen, all those in favour? Councillor.
Yes.
Right. Righto, we're back and we've got a motion on the, no, it can't lapse because it's got a mover and a
Gonna
second.
move in a second, that's
Just being
correct.
facetious.
Who was the mover?
And council, the mayor and councillor Guthrie.
Councillor
sorry.
Guthrie. So, yeah, I think I've moved it, haven't I?
Yes,
Yep. Okay, so going this way, out of respect for the people involved with the centre, and I think this is the best way to go to deliver the best product that we can get there. Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion? Please go ahead.
I won't be voting for this resolution. I have the greatest respect for the Keegan family, but I do believe it's the best value for the Keegans and everyone else if we do the alternative. Go, vote, yeah. Select the alternative, I should say.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? Lost? 4-5. If I can call for a division. Do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that council select Arterial Design Proprietary Limited as the preferred supplier for tender at 23022, Roma Big Rig Peter Keegan Museum Design and Construction, noting the submitted price for the concept is $389,951.32 exclusive of GST, plus GST of $38,995.13 for a total cost of $428,946.45. To authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Arterial Design Proprietary Limited, and should agreement be reached, including the finalisation of detailed designs, form a contract and execute any documents necessary. 3, ensure the successful tenderer works closely with the Keegan family and council's endorsed Big Rig Working Group to ensure their family heritage is recognised in the concept.
Just to the mover, do you actually mean their family heritage? As well as what they want out of the centre as far as the history that's not necessarily theirs, but they're custodians of it?
Well, that would bring it in.
So their family heritage and broader history is recognised in the concept.
Okay, I'm happy with, and broader
History.
Broader history.
history, okay.
Happy to second that.
Okay, we have a seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Mr Mayor, this is my preferred tenderer. We have a very large local buy content within this one, and I'm very confident that the preferred tender and the Keegan family and council's working group can work together to get the best outcome for the whole region.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm going to support this as the seconder. I think point 3 strengthens the goal that council set out, and that's to, of course, recognise the history and to support and recognise the work that Peter Keegan did over such a long period of time. In his passion for the oil and gas sector, and embedding that in here, that we're going to ensure that the successful tenderer works with the Keegan family. That flavour will certainly come through the final product that we'll see down at the big rig. I support the selected tenderer for the reasons that Councillor McMullen has already articulated, and that is the significant local content. We've spent many meetings discussing the importance of local suppliers, local content, supporting our local businesses, and I think the resolution before us will do just that.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? 7-2 have been called for a division. C2, Denise Spencer Pool Management Agreement option to renew. Do we have a mover? Councillor Ladbrook.
I'd like to move that council approve the extension of the Denise Spencer Swimming Pool Management Agreement for a further 1 year, until the 6th of August 2024.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0.
Page 81.
Thank you. C3, MRC Draft Certified Agreement 2023 to 2026. Do we have a mover? Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move that Council 1 approve that the draft Maranoa Regional Council Certified Agreement 2023 proceed to an employee ballot. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to make an administrative arrangement that enables a 2.5% increase in the wages backdated to first pay period on or after the 1st of July 2022, as cited within the draft Maranoa Regional Council Certified Agreement 2023, Appendix 1, Schedule of Wages, column B, payable as from the first full pay period after the successful employee ballot of the agreement. And 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to act on behalf of Council for the making and certification of the Maranoa Regional Council Certified Agreement 2023, including the signing of all documentation associated with the certification of the agreement in accordance with Section 236 of the Local Government Act of 2009.
We have a seconder, Councillor Taylor. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to, please go ahead.
Mr Mayor, can I just thank all of those staff, that particularly HR, who were involved in this this outcome, and I think it was a very, very positive outcome.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I'd like to thank the staff involved and also the staff that have been involved on both sides of negotiations. Thank them for their time, and we're looking forward to a good result for our staff and the organisation. And then on that note, we'll go to the vote.
Yes.
9-0. C4 Request Waiver on water consumption 120140007. Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that council does not waiver the water consumption charges. 2, grant a deferral for the discounted payment due date until the 7th of April 2023. And 3, write to the ratepayer and inform them of this decision.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Mr Mayor, just noting the 7th of April is actually Good Friday.
7th of April as well.
Do you want to change the date to?
I just realised it's Good Friday. It's a public holiday, whether So
But
whether that
we might
makes a
make
difference,
that,
Madam CEO?
Make it
Through the
6.
chair, you could make it till the following Monday. Let's have a look at that.
Oh, the Tuesday, the 11th?
Absolutely.
Tuesday the
Apologies,
11th?
Easter, absolutely.
It doesn't fall on
It's
a
dra-
public holiday?
So we're looking at.
Okay, so mover and the seconder, happy with
That's
that?
the 11th, isn't it?
Yep.
Tuesday, the 11th. Great.
Councillor Ladbrook, you happy with that?
very happy. I'm very happy.
Oh, one of them moments.
Yeah. I mean, it's, getting to closing time.
Does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Can't beat that.
I'm happy to say yes.
I'm happy to be happy.
All those against? 8-1 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to C5, Roma Saleyards Contract Strategy Update.
Held you out of 0.
Councillor
I move
O'Neill.
the council receive and note the report as presented.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. C6, complaint, 51 to 111 Miscamble Street East, Roma. I'd like to move that council, 1, receive and note the officer's report as presented. 2, work with the applicant to progress a potential preliminary development application. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? 6-3 if I can call for a division.
C6, it should be page 118.
Rates freeze revenue model FY 23-24. I'd like to move that council, 1, acknowledge that this report enacts resolution OM/02.2023/35. 2, receive and note the report outlining a rates freeze revenue model for 23-24, only including a scenario that this is, or I don't know whether it needs only, a revenue model.
It's a rates freeze revenue model for 2023-24
Oh,
only.
right,
Sorry,
including a
probably comma.
scenario that is sustainable over the long-term financial planning horizon from FY 23 to FY 2032. And 3, in principally support a zero rates freeze model as presented as the basis of the 2023 4 budget deliberations.
2023,
2023-24
that's right.
budget deliberations. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ladbrook. Does everyone understand the motion?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll speak to the motion. I believe that this is not a decision today, but it is moving forward and putting some parameters around how we can actually have this, and that we would be running an operating surplus. We have the opportunity to do that and be able to deliver for the community in some very trying times, to be able to deliver this model. And this would not decide everything, but just decide some parameters around revenue and officers' recommendations for projects and so forth. Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion? Does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Okay, then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? Okay, that's 5-4 if I can call for a division. C8, draft 23-24 capital projects. Go ahead.
I'll move that this matter be deferred until the ordinary meeting on the 12th of April 2023.
Second, Councillor Ladbroke. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay, we're moving on to the late agenda. LC1 NuGrow site exit.
Mr Mayor, let's give us a
You pardon?
point of where already, please. The open late? No, the
Late
clo-
close. Just
You get him organised up there, George?
That's LC.
You want a hand?
right.
LC1 NuGrow site exit Roma landfill. Councillor McMullen.
Mayor, I would like to move that council acknowledge resolution number 0M-02-2022-39 to endorse the rehabilitation process for exiting NuGrow from the Roma landfill site as soon as practicable. 3, authorise the chief executive officer or delegate to advise NuGrow and execute any documents necessary to enact the surrender.
We have a seconder, Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Yes, I'd just like to say, Mr Mayor, we need to get this process rolling and as quick as we can, so that's why I'm supporting this.
Okay, then no one else wishes to. Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I agree with Councillor McMullen. I think that this is long overdue. It's been a drawn-out process since we've been in, and I'd like to applaud the Bringer Director for moving along with all the staff that's supported this, so I'm looking forward to it come to fruition.
Okay, I'll speak. I'd like to thank the Bringer Director. Part of the benefits of operating locally is that we have local bosses, and in this case, some of those local bosses have got a lot of knowledge to do with other areas, and they're lending their support to actually clean up things that have been on the agenda for quite a long time, and also doing it, to a high level of competency. So I'll certainly be supporting what the director has brought forward as a solution here. Okay, so does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0.
Through the chair, there was the 17.1 and God.
Which one's the ashtrays in? It was in the
in
open
white.
one.
That was the last page of
Last
the open.
page.
There's only 2. One's on the corner bathroom down. There's one.
I didn't know there was any ashtrays around.
Oh, yeah, they're there, mate.
Made ashtray back.
Yeah. You could put them in last week. And they tried to trample the plant down to get in
Just put,
their cigarettes.
this is a request report to come back to council to investigate potential relocation of current cigarette disposal sites to be co-located with rubbish bins at the sites of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just one today, yeah?
That's not the same one, is it? This is the first one. That's our corner.
I'll see you in a minute.
Chemist site, is it?
Is it?
Yep.
And Laurel and Hardy up there.
Well,
We're here. We're you two.
Oh, those two.
Just this one, this notice without motion, while we're waiting. I reckon it's actually, we're in a meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
It'd be confidential, I would think, even though it's on white paper. I'm just double checking, Mr Mayor.
it is closed.
Yes.
It says classification.
Which one are we talking
Right,
about?
just because it's on white paper, just
We're
wanting to
doing
make
it.
sure that councillors knew that this was actually a closed item when we get to it. Through the information inside it.
So what are we going to do?
Well, we've got one each.
Oh,
One is on the board
Okay.
now.
That's good.
Right, we'll just adjourn for a minute.
what's the whole?
Okay.
Yep.
17.1 Roma CBD disposal relocation. Cigarette disposal relocation.
Yeah.
So I will declare a conflict. Roma CBD cigarette disposal relocation. Declaring councillor is Councillor Tyson Gold and myself. I own Golders, which is located in Roma CBD on the corner of McDowell and Arthur Street. Declarable conflict of interest. The action is leave the room where the matter is discussed and voted on.
And you'll have to withdraw you moved it.
Did I?
Earlier.
It was laid on the table by Councillor
I laid
Guthrie.
it on the table. Yeah.
But the mayor moved it before that.
Okay.
Did you?
Kel?
No, you started to and I
Yeah.
jumped in.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
laid
That's
on the
right.
table.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it should be
We
fine.
talked for
Yeah.
a bit of
Right.
time.
So Deputy Mayor, if you'd take over.
Yeah, need to keep that.
Oh, yeah, just easy.
Item number 17.1, Roma CBD cigarette disposal relocation. The mayor has left the room under a conflict of interest. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the report be prepared for an upcoming council meeting.
I have a seconder?
Hang on, sorry, did we want to put in there about the that's for across the region, or did?
No, this is just Roma
A report.
CBD.
This is the Roma CBD. Keep it simple.
Yep, no,
Just need a second.
Do we get a seconder, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Taylor? Okay, does the mover want to speak to the motion? Anyone else want to speak for or against? All those in favour? That eight, Councillor
Yes.
Edwards? 8-0? Thank you.
Thank you. Right, okay. Thanks.
We're going at the races.
Hey?
We're going to races in the net.
They're the wealthy people who get involved.
So we've got to add this.
Okay, so we'll just adjourn the meeting for a minute.
We just got to go into closed, don't we?
No, we've got to add it to
I got to
Mullen?
move that
what item number?
the item number, Kel?
Two.
LC2, notice without motion clarifying terms of the infrastructure agreement be added to the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move the council amend the infrastructure agreement to make clear that transfer duty on lot 4 is payable by council.
We have a second, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay, no further business, councillors?
Did we put that onto the agenda?
Just dealt with it.
Good on.
Yeah, because we put it onto the agenda, but then we actually haven't voted.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did it
Through
twice.
the chair, you didn't go
I
back
did have
into
a
closed
slate,
session.
didn't I?
Councillor O'Neill moved, and I seconded it to add it.
My goodness,
And
no,
then
no.
Councillor Burkett.
Okay, so
I do.
I'll close the meeting at 6:13 PM. Thank you for your attendance, councillors.
Thank you.